was sworn in as U.S. Attorney in Miami in October 2006, just as the FBI began to suspect that Epstein's crimes went well beyond South Florida. Epstein had given liberally to Democratic candidates and causes, but he knew that if he wanted the Republicans then in the White House in his corner, he needed someone with clout in Washington. His legal dream team included Kenneth Starr, the former independent counsel, who had employed his skills of moral outrage and prosecutorial skill to make the case for President Bill Clinton's 1998 impeachment. Citing a solemn intent to ensure fairness and integrity in the administration of justice, Starr asked the Justice Department to essentially quash the federal case that prosecutors in Miami were mounting against Epstein. Despite their opposite political alliances, Starr and Epstein had some things in common. Both were adept at cultivating power and had an arsenal of tricks at their disposal to outwit people to whatever ends met their goals. Sure enough, in 2008, Epstein and his high-priced lawyers wrangled an unusual plea bargain from federal prosecutors, one that defied some of our nation's most basic legal principles. Acosta would later contend that he agreed to give Epstein federal immunity from sex trafficking charges based on the unlikely success that prosecutors felt they would have at trial. Even with the little bit that I knew about the case in 2016, this never made sense to me. After all, immunity is a benefit granted in exchange for something else of value to prosecutors. What, if anything, did federal authorities get for giving Epstein and his co-conspirators, both named and unnamed, immunity? Over the past decade, much had been written about this case by countless journalists, but little of it offered real insight into how someone so evil was able to manipulate so many people from the offices of Wall Street to the corridors of the Department of Justice. By 2016, the Jeffrey Epstein case seemed to be just a footnote in history. I felt the story needed a more rigorous analysis, and so I set out to unpack the case and take a fresh look. I wanted to learn how and why such a prolific child sex predator could get away with his crimes. I learned that there were plenty of people who knew what Epstein was doing, not only in Palm Beach, but in New York and on his private island, as he flaunted his young conquests at dinner parties and events he attended with well-heeled, socially and politically connected people, some of whom worked in the media, led billion-dollar companies, and had Nobel Prizes on their resumes. Even when it later became clear that Epstein had been exploiting and abusing girls, his friends, professional acquaintances, and those who wanted the benefit of his checkbook continued to associate with him. In liberal circles, political analysts who studied the case often focused on Epstein's connection to Donald Trump, while conservatives tried to link the scandal to Bill Clinton. The truth is there were powerful people on both sides of the political rails, as well as people in the worlds of finance, academia, and science who were involved with Epstein, or, at the very least, complicit with what he was doing. I also learned that Epstein likely conducted video surveillance in every home he owned. As insurance, he probably had tapes and photographs of important visitors, mainly men, in compromising situations. Whether that was true or not, even the possibility that he had blackmail material was enough motive for many powerful people to do everything possible to cover up Epstein's crimes. The Jeffrey Epstein story epitomizes our nation's lopsided system of justice and how victims of sexual assault, especially those who are young and poor, are discarded, shamed, and mistreated by the very people who are supposed to protect them. Epstein got away with his crimes because nearly every element of society allowed him to get away with them. Professional, legal, and moral ethics were set aside for a broken system of values that places corporate